in a situation that's both frustrating and concerning. The Green Bay Packers are facing a pivotal moment regarding running back MarShawn Lloyd. Drafted in the third round back in 2024, Lloyd's NFL career has been marred by a series of unfortunate injuries, leaving fans to wonder if he can ever contribute meaningfully to this storied franchise. Lloyd's journey has been anything but smooth. With a string of hamstring injuries and even an episode of appendicitis, he has missed an astounding 35 of 36 possible games over the last 2 seasons. It's hard to imagine a more disheartening start for a player with such promise. Despite these setbacks, the Packers seem to be in no rush to sever ties with him. The rationale is simple. The benefits of moving on from Lloyd are limited at this point, especially in light of Josh Jacobs' recent legal troubles. However, the conversation surrounding Lloyd isn't stagnant. PFSN's Jacob Infante recently identified him as a potential trade candidate. The Packers have already made notable moves this offseason, parting ways with key players like edge rusher Rashawn Gary and wide receiver Dontavian Wicks. This makes the prospect of trading Lloyd even more complicated, as the options for the Packers are becoming increasingly scarce. Infante's analysis is on point. While Lloyd was a promising third-round pick, his value has deteriorated significantly due to his lack of playing time. He has only appeared in 1 NFL game, recording a meager 6 carries for 15 yards. For a franchise that prides itself on having players available to contribute, this is a troubling sign. Availability is, indeed, the best ability, and if Lloyd fails to impress during training camp or the preseason, the Packers may have to reconsider their investment. On the financial front, the decision to retain Lloyd is somewhat easier. Set to earn $1.31 million in 2026 and $1.57 million in 2027, salaries that are just above the league minimum. The Packers have limited financial risk. If he can regain his health, he could serve as a solid backup to Jacobs, or even step up as a starter if the situation necessitates. Should his health continue to be a concern, the Packers could place him on injured reserve without losing a roster spot, allowing them to bide their time. But let's face it, if any team comes knocking with an enticing offer, the Packers will have to weigh their options carefully. How much value can they place on a player who hasn't been on the field since his college days? If a team that was high on Lloyd coming out of USC is willing to part with a 5th or 6th round pick in what is shaping up to be a stacked 2027 draft class, that could certainly change the dynamics of the situation. Conversely, if it's merely a late round swap, it would make more sense for the Packers to hold on to Lloyd and see how things play out. This scenario is undoubtedly unfortunate for both Lloyd and the Packers. The team's hands are tied to some extent, but the door is still open for a potential trade if the right circumstances arise. Fans, where are you watching from? And what do you think about MarShawn Lloyd's future with the team? Your insights matter, and we'd love to hear your opinions on this situation. Transitioning from the Lloyd situation, let's take a look at how the Packers are strategizing their roster as they gear up for the upcoming season. There are critical decisions looming as the front office navigates the complexities of injuries and player performance in training camp.
The speculation swirling around Anthony Richardson's status with the Indianapolis Colts has ignited interest in the potential for a trade, particularly involving the Green Bay Packers. As we dive into this narrative, the question on every Packers fan's mind is whether or not the front office should pull the trigger on acquiring this high-ceiling quarterback. According to NFL insider Jeremy Fowler, there's a possibility that the Packers could part with a 5th-round pick to bring Richardson to Green Bay. While the recent signing of veteran Tyrod Taylor for a modest salary of $2.5 million adds some stability at the quarterback position, it doesn't entirely rule out the idea of pursuing another option. This is particularly intriguing because Richardson's contract situation presents a unique opportunity for any team willing to take a chance on him. If a trade were to occur now, the new team would be looking at a salary of $5.385 million due in 2026, but they would only need to absorb a base salary of $1.145 million after August 1st, when the Colts would pay Richardson a roster bonus. What makes this scenario particularly fascinating is the timing. Historically, the Packers have made similar moves, such as trading a 7th-round pick for Malik Willis just before the regular season last year. This could lead to a potentially repeatable situation as training camp approaches, where both teams could benefit from a trade. The Colts, eager to move forward with Riley Leonard as their number 2 quarterback, would gain much-needed draft capital, while the Packers could leverage their system, which Richardson reportedly wants to be a part of, given its ties to the McVay-Shanahan-LaFleur coaching tree. However, let's be honest. A fifth-round pick might be too steep for a player who could end up as a third-string quarterback in a system where he's still developing. The Packers are not in a position to squander their draft capital, especially following a year where they only had 6 selections. With pressing needs at edge defender and the running back position, particularly with the uncertain situation surrounding Josh Jacobs, the focus should remain on building a more immediate competitive roster rather than investing in a potential long-term project who could hit free agency next offseason. Richardson undeniably possesses an intriguing skill set, blending athleticism and arm talent that could blossom under the right coaching. But the Packers' priorities must align with their current roster needs and immediate goals. Committing a fifth-round pick to a player whose future in Green Bay could be uncertain doesn't seem like a wise allocation of resources at this juncture. It's crucial for the organization to weigh the potential upside against the reality of their current circumstances before making any hasty decisions. As we continue to assess the landscape of the Packers' quarterback room and the broader implications of these rumors, it's vital that fans weigh in. Where are you watching from, and what do you think about the potential trade for Anthony Richardson? Is it worth the investment, or should the Packers focus on more pressing needs? Stay tuned as we delve into the next segment, where we'll explore further developments that could impact Green Bay's strategy moving forward. A crisis is indeed brewing for the Green Bay Packers, and it's one that could dramatically impact their season. Star running back Josh Jacobs has found himself in serious trouble, facing 5 charges that leave fans and analysts alike questioning his future with the team. As the offseason rolls on, with organized team activities, OTAs, already in full swing and training camp looming on the horizon, the absence of Jacobs at such a critical time cannot be overstated. Even if he manages to evade jail time, the NFL's disciplinary measures could very well lead to a suspension at the start of the upcoming season. In light of this unsettling development, speculation is rife about potential reinforcements. The Packers must act swiftly, and one name that stands out is Najee Harris. While he may not be the most efficient running back in the league, Harris is known as a true workhorse, capable of handling the heavy lifting that could be essential for Green Bay in the early weeks. His ability to fight through contact aligns perfectly with what the Packers may need, especially given the current state of their offensive line, which has struggled with run blocking. Head coach Matt LaFleur has crafted a well-balanced offensive strategy, but if he remains hesitant to place the entire burden on Jordan Love's shoulders, then a seasoned veteran like Harris could prove invaluable. The Packers are in a position where they need someone who's accustomed to carrying the ball frequently, logging double-digit carries week in and week out. The stakes are high, especially with the competitive nature of the NFC North looming over them. Now, while pursuing trade options is always on the table, bringing Harris into the fold wouldn't require additional asset sacrifice. Furthermore, after a season marred by injury with the Los Angeles Chargers, he appears to be in good health, making him a more appealing candidate. If the Packers hesitate, they could be left with a thin running back core that includes MarShawn Lloyd, who's often plagued by injuries, or even less favorable choices like Chris Brooks and Pierre Strong Jr. This is hardly the depth chart any team would want to rely on in a division as stacked as the NFC North. As fans, we must remain vigilant and engaged as these developments unfold. What are your thoughts on this situation? Where are you watching from, and what do you think the Packers should do next? Leave your opinions in the comments below. In a time when decisions can make or break a season, the organization needs to act decisively. This is not just about filling a roster spot. It's about ensuring that the Green Bay Packers maintain their competitive edge. The clock is ticking, and every moment counts as we wait to see how this drama unfolds. So, let's keep the conversation going. Subscribe for more updates and share your insights on how the Packers should navigate this tumultuous period. The future of Green Bay might just depend on the moves they make right now.